Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how to play the guitar solo from the classic ZZ Top song, A Fool For Your Stockings. This one comes off of my favorite ZZ Top album, Digueyo. Now this was the solo that made me a real Billy Gibbons fan. I mean, prior to that I appreciated his playing, but I was only familiar with the hits, the stuff you heard on the radio. Cheap Sunglasses, Sharp Dressed Man, LaGrange, Tush, etc. Then one day I went down to my local used record shop and I found a copy of Digueyo for just a couple bucks. You could do that back in the 80s. And as soon as this solo came on, I was just floored by the feel that Billy Gibbons put into it. And I'm not talking about the repeating part that goes, right, that's kind of standard fare. It's all the stuff in between. When I heard that, man, I was hooked. I've been a lifelong Billy Gibbons fan ever since. Now, if you enjoy Billy Gibbons playing, I also have lessons here on my channel on how to play the solos from Cheap Sunglasses, and I'm bad on them nationwide, and there will certainly be more to come. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to catch more content like this in the future as soon as it comes out. Hit that thumbs up because it does help my videos get a little bit more exposure in the algorithm. And then if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I will attempt to answer them as time allows. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play the entire solo again for you, this time slowly with the tabs on the screen. That way the more advanced players can get through this more quickly. Then after that, for everybody else, we'll break it down note by note. Let's go. Here's section 1 at normal and then slow speed. Let's break it up into two boxes, and in the first one we play. So we're going to play 5th fret of G and B, followed by 7 of G and B. Now the next part, we're going to be repeating this throughout the lesson, so I'm just going to call it the 7 to 8 to 7 thing, moving forward, okay? So it's, you're barring your finger across the 7th fret of G and B, quickly sliding to 8, and then back down to 7 on both, okay? Okay, so far? And then from there, you're going to pull off that 7 of G to 5 of G. But when you pull off to that 5th fret of G, it's kind of muted a little. I know that seems very granular, but I've said this many times. The regulars here know that I get very granular with my lessons. You can decide how granular you want to get, but I want to get it as accurate to the original as possible and help you do the same. All right, so again, so far. And then 7G, 7B. Hold that one for a tiny bit, and then pull off to 5 of G, palm muted, slide down.
And I want to call out here that you'll notice that I'm playing this all with downstrokes. Much of this lesson is done, or this solo, with downstrokes. It just sounds better, in my opinion, that way. Okay, you can decide if you want to do it that way, but to me it just sounds better. And I'm not going to do the entire solo with downstrokes, but these repeating, I always do those with downstrokes. It just sounds better to me. Okay, let's play that first box a couple times slowly. Then in the second box, we play. Now you notice it's almost the same thing we did in the first box, except at the end, instead of pulling off to 5 of G and sliding down, you're just picking 5G and B and sliding down. Okay, so that second box would go like this, slowly. All right, let's tie both boxes together and play section 1 one more time, slowly and then at normal speed. All right, let's move on to section 2. Here's section 2 at normal and then slow speed. Let's break it up into 2 boxes, and in the first we play. So it's 5G, 5B, and then 7G, 7B. Then we're going to do the 7 to 8 to 7 thing on both strings. Okay, so far in that first box. 5G, and then 7GB. And then 5 of G, bend it up about 3/4 of a step. It seems like it's just flat of a full step. You can go up a full step if you want. If you went up a half step, it'd probably sound good too, but my ear hears about a 3/4 step up. All right, let's play that first box a few times slowly. Then in the second box, we'll play. So we start with 5 on G, palm muted, and then 7G, 7B. Then we'll do the 7 to 8, 7 thing. 7G, 7B. So far. Now right there, after we do the slidey thing, I'm always so tempted to play 5 of G, because that happens throughout this solo. But when I listen closely, it sounds like Billy had skipped it that time around. But if you want to throw 5 of G in there, you certainly can. And then finally, 5 of G, 1/4 step up. Let's play that second box a few times, slowly. All right, let's tie both boxes together and play section 2 one more time, slowly and then at normal speed. All right, let's move on to section 3. All right, here's section 3. Let's break it up into 2 boxes, and in the first we play. So what you're doing is you're hitting the 8th fret of the B string, but you're also hitting G string muted, and you're kind of really digging in. You do that 11 times. I think that was 11. It's kind of hard playing that without the music in the background, because playing something 11 times feels odd, right? All right, so then we've got 7 of G, bend up and down, half step, pull off to 5. Let's play that first box slowly a couple times. Then in the second box, we'll play. So it's that same little kind of 8 fret of B with the G scratched 5 times. And then 7 on G, bend up half step down, pull off to 5. So that second box slowly a few times. All right, let's tie both boxes together and play section 3 one more time, slowly and then at normal speed. All right, let's move on to section 4. Here's section 4 at normal and then slow speed. Let's break it up into 2 boxes, and in the first we play. So we start with 5 on G and B, and then 7 on G and B. Then we'll do the 7 to 8 to 7 thing. Pull off to the 5th fret of G, kind of palm muted. Then 7G, 7B, and then 5G, 5B, slide down. Let's play the first box a few times slowly. Then in the second box we play. So it's 5 on G and B, followed by 7 on G and B. And then we'll do the 7 to 8 to 7 thing, pull off to 5, palm muted. So far in the second box. Then 7G, 7B. Then you're going to play 5 of G, but you're hitting the E and B strings also like muted. Right? Notice it's an upstroke when I do it. You can just hit 5 of G if you want. Most people won't know the difference, honestly, but I hear the percussiveness in there of hitting the E and B too. All right, let's tie both boxes together. Play section 4 one more time, slowly and then at normal speed. Okay, let's move on to section 5. Here's section 5 at normal and then slow speed. Let's break it up into 2 boxes, and in the first we play. So it's 7D and then 7G. Bend up about 3/4 of the step. You notice I'm alternating. Sometimes I bend down, sometimes I bend up. I don't control it, I just do what comes out. And then 5G, 7G, 7D. Then in the second box we play. So it's 7 on G, slide to 9, and then 8 on B. And then 9 on G, quickly slide back to 7, pull off to 5. And then all palm muted, 7G, 7D, 7D. Those notes at the end are kind of quiet. Let's play that second box a few times slowly. All right, let's tie both boxes together. Play section 5 one more time slowly and then at normal speed. All right, let's move on to section 6.
Here's section 6 at normal and then slow speed.
Let's break it up into two boxes, and in the first we play slowly. Okay, so this is where Billy gets pretty dynamic with the picking. Some of it's picked hard, some of it's picked soft. So you got to really listen to the original if you want to get that feel right. So we start with 5/7 on D and then 5/7 on G. Kind of digging into those notes. And then on the G string, 7 quickly to 8, back to 7. Okay, so far. And then 5 of G palm muted, 7G, 7D. So far. And then 5/7/5 on G. The last 5 is a quarter step up. So far. And then palm muted. And this is pretty quiet in the mix. It's hard to hear unless you really slow down the original and try to isolate the tracks. It's all palm muted. 7D, 7A. And then 7D twice, pull off to 5. Hammer back to 7. Now, my guitar tone isn't meant to be an exact replica of Billy's. I did use a Strat style guitar because Billy, I believe he used his hardtail Strat on this song based on the tone. But getting that really clean but dynamic tone that he has, I struggle to do that with my Line 6 processor, so bear with me, but I'm trying my best here. Just know that you're going to be picking softly through parts of this. All right, let's play that first box a couple times slowly. All right, in the second box we play slowly. Man, this is, when I heard that lick for the first time, that's the one that really hit me. I was like, man, the feel there. So what we're going to do is we're playing 10th fret of A. You're kind of raking up to it with a vibrato. Okay. Okay, so now the rest of this section is palm muted. You're going to hammer onto the 9th fret of the G without picking it. Slide to 7. Add vibrato. Pull off to 5. And then hammer to 7 of D without picking it. All right, let's play that second box a few times slowly. Okay, let's play section 6 one more time slowly and then at normal speed. All right, let's move on to section 7. Here's section 7 at normal and then slow speed. So we're going to break it up into two boxes, and in the first we play. So it's 5 on G and B and then 7 on G and B. Then we'll do the 7 to 8 to 7 thing, pulling off to 5. 5 is palm muted. And then 7G, 7B, and then 5GB, and you're going to bend it up. I notated 3/4 of a step. Understand that what I mean by that is the G string is going up roughly 3/4 of a step. You know, when you do these kind of classic double stops, oftentimes when you're catching the B string in there, it doesn't go up as far, right? The B string's probably going up like somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2 a step, if that. You know what I mean? So don't get hung up on that. Just know that when I'm showing 3/4 of a step with this bend, focus on getting the G string up that far. Let's play that first box a few times slowly. And then in the second box we play. So it's 5 on G and then 7 on G, B. Then we'll do the 7 to 8 to 7 thing, pulling off to 5 palm muted on G. Then 7 G, B. And then 5 G, B. Quick little bend up about a half a step. Again, when I say half a step, focus on that half step on the G string. The B is just going to come naturally with it at a slightly less amount of a bend, if that makes sense. Let's play that second box a few times slowly. Let's tie both boxes together and play section 7 one more time, slowly and then at normal speed. Okay, let's move on to section 8.
All right, here is section 8.
Let's break it up into 2 boxes, and in the first we play. So we start with 7 on D, and then the 7 to 8 to 7 thing, pulling off to 5, palm muted, and then 7 to G, so far, and then 5 of G and B, bending it up about 3/4 of a step. Let's play that first box a few times slowly. Then in the second box we play. So it's 7D, 5G. Then we'll do the 7 to 8 to 7 thing, pulling off to 5, palm muted. And then 7GB, and then 5GB. You're going to bend it up 3/4 of a step, the G string 3/4 of a step. It's a slower one this time. Let's play that second box a few times slowly. All right, let's tie both boxes together and play section 8 one more time, slowly and then at normal speed. All right, let's move on to section 9. All right, here's section 9 at normal and then slow speed. So we'll break it up into 2 boxes, and in the first we play. So we're going to start by playing the 8th fret of the B string twice, the first time palm muted. Then you're going to play A to B with the G string scratch 3 times. And then 7 on G, bend up and down a half step, pull off to 5. Let's play the first box a few times slowly. Then in the second box we play. So we play the A to B with the G scratch 5 times. And then 7 to G, bend up about 3/4 of a step, and then 5.
And then 7 of G with a very slight bend, no more than 1/4 of a step.
Okay, let's play that second box a few times slowly. All right, let's tie both boxes together and play section 9 one more time, slowly and then at normal speed. All right, let's move on to section 10. Here's section 10 at normal and then slow speed. All right, let's break it up into two boxes. And at the first, we play slowly. Okay, so we're going to start on the D string, 7, and then 5, hammer to 7, pull off to 5. That 5 note, the first time you're going to dig into that one. And then palm muted, 7A, 7D. And then 7A, 5D, you're digging into those. Then we're going to play 7 of A, kind of dig into that note, but quickly slide to 5, pull off to 3, hammer to 5. Let's play what we have so far slowly in that first box. Now this last part is really buried in the mix. You're on the low E string, you're playing 3, hammer to 5, pull off to 3, hammer to 5, 3, 5, 3, 5. It's very faint in there. Let's play that first box a few times slowly. Then in the second box we play. So we start with 10 of B. You're hitting G muted with it, and then vibrato. And then you're going to slide to 13. And then you hold that note for a little bit. And then you're going to bend up about 1 1/4 steps, and then continue on to 2 steps up. See how there's almost a little pause there? Before the final little movement at the top of the bend. I love the phrasing in that. Now, I've seen some people that instead of doing the bend at the 13th fret, they do it at the 15th. They'll go. You can certainly do that if it's more comfortable, but that's not accurate. All right, let's tie both boxes together and play section 10 one more time, slowly and then at normal speed.
Okay, let's move on to section 11. Here's section 11 at normal and then slow speed.
Okay, let's break it up into two boxes, and in the first we play. Okay, so you're going to be doing pinch harmonics, which may seem odd when you're playing with a clean tone, but Billy Gibbons, he's one of those guys that did a lot of pinch harmonics. Sometimes when you weren't expecting them.
So you start by bending up 1/2 step at the 13th fret of the B string.
And then the next bend, you're starting halfway up and then continuing up a full step. And then the third bend, you're starting up about 3/4 and going up to about 1 1/4. So far. And don't worry if you get it exactly right. I slowed down the original and really listened closely to these bends and how they were working, and that's how I came up with this. You just got to try and feel it, okay? And then the fourth bend, you're starting 1 step up and going up to 2 steps. Okay. And then 13 wide vibrato slide down. Let's play that first box a few times. Then in the second box, we'll play slowly. It's pretty buried in the mix. A lot of that, especially toward the end, it's kind of hard to hear. Okay, so you're going to start on the B string, 5, 8, and then 7 on G, 5 on B. And then palm muted, you're going to do 7 of G, bend up half step quickly, and then 7, 5. Okay, so far. Sometimes people will replace that 7th fret bend up with 8, so it'll be like this. You can certainly do that if it's easier for you, but when I slow down the original, it sounds like Billy threw in a little bend there. And then 7 on G, pull off to 5, 7 on D. So far, slowly. Now the next part's a little bit tricky. You're going to play 5 of G, hammer to 7, but the 7th fret of D accidentally sounds in there too. Kind of lightly. And then 7 of A. And then we're going to play palm muted, 5 of D, 7 of D, 7 of A, 5 of D. Let's play what we have so far slowly in that second box. And then on the A string, this is where it gets really buried in the mix. You're going to play 7, quickly slide to 5, pull off to 3, hammer to 5, pull off to 3. And then, and this is super buried in the mix, you're going to hammer on to the 5th fret of E without picking it, pull off to 3, hammer to 5. Super buried in that mix. Let's play the second box a few times slowly. All right, let's tie both boxes together. Play section 12 one more time, slowly and then at normal speed.
All right, that was my lesson on how to play the guitar solo from the classic ZZ Top song, A Fool For Your Stockings. If you found it helpful or informative, I would appreciate a thumbs up. Please hit that subscribe button to catch more content like this in the future. And again, if you have any questions or comments, make sure to leave them down below and I will attempt to answer them as time allows. Until next time, rock on.